Good evening. We're up to Daf Kuf Yud Zayin Amud Beis, the Mishnah. Says the Mishnah, we're discussing what a person is allowed to save more. In the case of the Aleichem 5. So this is like this. Matzilin, one's allowed to save Moslin Sholish Sudois, food for 3 meals, for the 3 meals of Shabbos. That which a person needs, for example, if a person says there's 10 people in the household, so he needs to take 10 people times 3 meals. If he's got an animal, he's got a dog, he's got a cow, he's got a sheep, he's also allowed to save enough food for the animals. Keitzad. Now the Mishnah explains. If a fire fell out Friday night, you can save 3 meals worth, because Friday night, you've got Friday night, Shabbos, Shachris. If the fire falls out in the morning, Matzilin Moslin Shtei Sudas, only 2 meals. The Mincha Moslin Suda Achas. Rabbi Yossi Matzilin Moslin Sholish Sudas, who is allowed to save 3 meals? Got Machlekas Tanakama, Rabbi Yossi, how much you're allowed to save? According to Tanakama, it depends which time in Shabbos the fire breaks out as to how much you're allowed to save. And according to Rabbi Yossi, you're always allowed to save 3 meals worth. Says the Gemara. No, you can't. Okay, that means only what you once mentioned to me. I think a snake only eats once 6 months or something. So if you've got a snake, you can't save anything. Says the Gemara, since as we already explained, food is not got muktzah. And as we said in the last Mishnah, we're not talking about we are carrying into Shasuravim or anything. It's only with a Mavi. Natzil Tfei, let him save even more. A person's worried about his money. If you allow him, he'll come to put it out. This again, we discussed this at the beginning of the parak. It doesn't necessarily sound logical to us, but this is what Chazal said, is that the more we allow, then the person will get caught up in trying to save things, and then what we'll do is put out the fire. If we say to him, forget it, there's nothing you could do about it, give up, so he'll move away. But once we allow him to get involved, we're scared that he'll put out the fire. We learned in the advice, if a person has a barrel of wine on top of his roof and the barrel breaks, so he needs to now bring cups and bowls to save the wine. So maybe he's allowed to bring a bowl and put it underneath the barrel to save all the wine. There are 2 ways which is forbidden, 1 way which is permitted. The 1 way which is permitted is assuming this is the roof, right? The tabletop is the roof. You're allowed to bring a bowl next to it to catch, let's say it's leaking from the side of the bowl. You're allowed to bring a bowl and catch it. You're not allowed to put level to the roof another bowl and then let the liquid spill over and go into that bowl. Alternatively, that's 1 way you're not allowed to. Another way is, let's say, spilling from this bowl. And what happens is there's not enough space. So then from that, it overflows. You're not allowed to put another bowl to catch the overflow of the bowl which was used that it spilled. That means if a bowl breaks, you are allowed to put a bowl next to it to catch the liquid. You are not allowed to put another bowl level to the roof to catch the liquid which is spilling, nor are you allowed to take a bowl to catch the overflow. No limit. But 1 bowl, yes, 2 bowls forbidden. So he says like this. You're not allowed to bring another keli to catch what the first one is overflowing. For another keli to put it next to the roof. What gezerah can there possibly be? Says the Gemara. We're scared you might come to bring bowls in the Shusarabim. That means again, Chazal will have fine-tuned it. They said, bringing 1 bowl will not make a person so caught up in it to put out the fire. Bringing 2 bowls is already no good. So therefore, why? Because you might come to there now. Mishnah is referring to the choshesh, you might put out the fire. Here we're choshesh that you might bring a bowl through a shusarabim. Gufa. More now recaps. This bowl is chovis b'ishgag and maybe keli acham v'niach tachtel. You're allowed to bring a bowl underneath. Not allowed to bring another bowl to catch next to the roof or to catch the overflow. But if a person has guests, maybe if a person has guests and he needs more than what 1 bowl can hold, So then he's allowed to bring a second bowl to help him. Then he's allowed to. But you're not allowed to do this. What happens is, let's say a bowl is breaking, it's leaking. You're allowed to quickly go to your neighbors and say to them, by the way, do you want to be invited for Shabbos morning? If you come, I've got wine for you. And then that way, catch loads and loads of wine. And then you don't have to give it all to the guests. As long as you've got enough people that the bowl potentially would be needed for them, it's okay. But you can't catch the wine and then go looking for guests. You first have to invite the guests and only then catch the wine. You're not allowed to do a trick, meaning you're not allowed to invite someone who's already eaten properly and is not going to eat anything from what you are offering and invite them. You can invite a guest suddenly who's not eaten before. Let's say go to the neighbor and say, look, you haven't had your Shabbos morning meal yet? Come to me. I've got plenty of wine. But you can't go to your neighbor who's already finished his meal and say to him, oh, can I invite you? And in that way, allow him to come. That's forbidden because that's a trick. Obviously, he also allowed to. He's even allowed to invite someone who's not going to eat a thing and say to him, do you want to come and eat by me in order to then allow the meal to catch the wine. Says the Gemara, this machlokas regarding, are you allowed to do a trick? The Tanya, we learned in the following brisa. There's a halacha. You're not allowed to shecht an animal with its child on the same day. It's called Oisei Vespano, entire Perik and Chulin devoted to this one halacha. You're not allowed to shecht a mother and a child on the same day. Now, if an animal and a child fall into a pit on Yom Tov, let's say not an animal and child, two animals fall into a pit, you're allowed to take them out. In the pit, there's a solid chance that they'll die, right? Pits are not, no air, no food. There's a chance they will die. So now you want to save your money, so you want to pull them out. If they're not mother and child, then you have got no problem. You pull one out, and you think to yourself, I'll pull it out for the sake of shechting it. And I'll pull out the second one for the sake of shechting it. And in that way, you've not lost anything. The problem is that it is oisei v'espano, you can't shecht both. And since you can't shecht both, what are you going to do? You're not allowed to pull out an animal from a pit that may be, that for no reason. It means you can only pull out an animal from a pit if you're going to shecht it. But to pull an animal out of a pit just to save the animal's life is forbidden. And it's tircha on Yom Tov for no reason. You're not allowed to do a tircha on Yom Tov for no reason. So therefore over here you've got a problem. You've got the animal and its mother fell into a pit. You can't shecht them both. And if you could take one out and shecht it, but the second one might die. So what should you do? So the brisa brings a machlokas, what should you do? The Tanya. You could take the first one out with the intention to shecht it. You can do whatever you can to alleviate its pain while it's in the pit. It means you can throw down food, you can throw down a bucket of water, but you're not allowed to pull it out. Why can't you pull it out? Because once you've shecht the first one, you're not allowed to shecht the second one. So pulling it out of the pit is a tircha on Yom Tov for the sake of an animal which you're never going to be able to eat, and that's forbidden. Rabbi Shiur says like this. You take out the first one with intention to shecht it. And you don't shecht it. What you do is you look at it and you say to yourself, I don't want to shecht this one. It's too fat, it's too thin, the meat looks too soft, the meat looks too hard. I don't want to shecht it. When you trick, then you can shecht whichever one you want. That means what you do is, since you're allowed to put it out in order to shecht it, you take one out at a time, and each one that you take out, you say to yourself, this is the one that I'm thinking of eating. And at the end, you only shecht one of them. They're always showing that they don't even need to shecht either. It's a big machlokas to show more, they'll discuss it more. So we see over here, the question regarding a barrel that broke on the rooftop. And the question is how to save it. And one man says you're allowed to invite guests that are not going to eat by you, which is like a kind of swindle, it's a kind of trick. He permits it. And one Tana says he forbids it. The Gemara wants to suggest that same machlokas is the same machlokas regarding two animals that fell into a pit, which are oisei v'espano, whether you're allowed to take them both out and do the same kind of shtickle, that you take one out thinking I'll shecht it and take the other one thinking maybe I'll shecht that one. Says the Yomi, how can you compare? You've got no right. Zilma, perhaps There, well, because you can try and save the animal's life by dropping down the pit food and drink. But over here, if you don't do this trick of inviting guests, the bowel is going to leak out and nothing's going to be saved. So therefore, you can't compare to here. There, it's only a suffix whether the animal will die. There's a way to hopefully you'll save the animal's life by sending down food. Over here, you're definitely, if you do not invite guests, let's say after the Shabbos morning meal, and everybody's eaten, and if you don't invite these guests, you're not going to be able to save the bowel. What's going to happen is you're going to lose the wine definitely. There's nothing you can do. So therefore, perhaps we'll make it. Maybe he was more maker because it's Tzar Balechayim, the animal's going to die. So therefore, the Gemara says you can't compare. That means the Machlokas Tanoim over here, how to save the wine, is not the same Machlokas Tanoim there regarding Oisaves Benoi. You said it's interesting Gemara. The interesting Gemara is actually tomorrow. It's a long way to go, so there's more halachas. But it's a light halachas. Again, you're allowed to save on Shabbos. How much are you allowed to save? Enough for 3 meals for every member of the household, plus for every animal in the household. There's a machlokes according to Rabbi Yossi allowed to save all 3 meals, even if it's the end of Shabbos, only the beginning of Shabbos. And then we had the machlokes regarding saving a bowel. And we had whether you're allowed to do a trick invite a guest and not going to eat. And the machlokes regarding Yosef Espanoi. Says more halachas regarding saving on Shabbos. Hitzel pasne kir, if you save clean bread in matzil pasador, you can't save hard brown bread or bland bread. Pasador matzil pasne kir. If you first saved lower quality bread, then you're allowed to then save higher quality bread. Why? Because you can take it and say, I was going to eat it, and then I thought to myself, oh, that doesn't taste very good, and then go and take in the better quality. So what you should do, if a person has a fire, you should first take the most inferior quality bread, say that's not the one I want to eat, and then save a better quality and a better quality that you're allowed to, but not the other way around. That means if Yom Kippur is a Friday, you're allowed to save on Yom Kippur and all day should have food for Shabbos. Not for Shabbos for Yom Kippur. That means if Yom Kippur is a Sunday, you can't save on Shabbos for Yom Kippur. Nowadays, we never have Yom Kippur on Friday or Sunday. So this halacha is not negeh. Rashi says that you can't save from Shabbos to Yom Kippur. Why? Because when are you going to eat on Yom Kippur? Motzim Kippur. By Motzim Kippur, you go and get more food, and therefore you can't save Shabbos to Yom Kippur. Oh, that's Tesis Pshat. The Tesis says would be a Havamina that on Shabbos morning you're allowed to save bread because on Sunday night you're going to be eating Mechatesa. How would you even think of such a thing? So he says, no. He says that we're talking about maybe to feed them on Yom Kippur itself. Another Tesis says it's actually there's a mitzvah to eat Motzei Yom Kippur. Motzei Yom Kippur is a kind of Yom Tov. So therefore perhaps we have a Havamina that it's not. Okay. Why can't you? Because the answer is the Chazal. He says the Chazal only permitted a limited amount of money. You send your children. You'll get cut off for a second.
Yeah, cut off. Yeah.
You got cut off. Okay, sorry. Okay. I don't know why. Of course, you can't say for Shabbos to Yom Tov and from one Shabbos to the next Shabbos. Shochach pas betano. A person was baking bread on Friday afternoon. Right, you might then again having this because you know that you're not going to have fresh bread for the entire week, and your choshesh for lechem mishnos kiddush is not allowed to. Shochach pas betano. Person forgot bread in the oven, the kiddush of Yom, and it came to be Friday night. Matzilin mozin sholish. So this can save food for 3 meals. You can tell anybody who's hungry can save himself bread. Mishmor brings this down. If a Chashon person has a fire, he's allowed to tell everybody. Or if he's got bread stuck in the oven, tell everybody. Anybody who wants food can help themselves. And then once it's in the courtyard and it's been saved, then they can say to them, wait a second, it's mine. I want it. When a person takes bread out of the oven on Shabbos, in the older days, the way they used to bake bread is they used to stick the dough to the walls of the oven. And the way to separate the bread from the walls of the oven was with a special spatula. And the halacha is that if a person has to do it on Shabbos, he should use a knife, not the special instrument. As much as possible, not to behave in uvda dechol. It's a behavior of weekday. The Gemara, is that so? That the Gemara says like this. The Torah says, don't do malachas on Shabbos. Malacha means work. Blowing shofar and taking bread out of the oven in the olden days, both of these are a skill, but not a malacha. Meaning that they require a certain amount of skillcraft, right? Blowing shofar is not simple. But it's not a malacha in the sense that it's not something that they used to do in the Mishkan. So it's not a malacha, but it's a skill. Since the Torah says malacha, the Torah is coming to mamayed, to what's mamayed? To exclude anything which is not a malacha, which means that min haTorah or allowed to blow shofar on Shabbos, yes. Min haTorah allowed to separate bread, yes. So it's only also midrabanan. Says Tesis Pshat is like this, and since it's only midrabanan, therefore we should be allowed a person to save more. Answers the Gemara. As much as it's possible to change, we permit it. And we change. Therefore, a person should try and change as much as possible. So even though indeed, taking bread out of an oven on Shabbos is only asking to happen, but as much as possible, we look for a person to find a way to do it in a way that he does it with a shinoi. A person should wake up early on Friday morning for Shabbos. A person immediately should prepare for Shabbos. Shimshon Pinkas was known for his covered Shabbos. What he used to do is every Friday morning he would get up early, even before Shachris, and do something for Shabbos. Do something for Shabbos. Just very briefly, I heard this story from Shimshon Pinkas himself, that he was very makpid for Shabbos. And what happened was, he was once stuck in Mexico collecting for a colonel, and he had no homemade challahs. I'm not saying first should have homemade challahs, because I once heard from Mr. Robinson that she used to say you can buy challahs, you can't buy shalom bayis. And what happens is sometimes in the efforts to make challahs, it creates shalom bayis issues. But he himself, Shimshon Pinkas, was makpid to eat only homemade challahs. So he called up his wife and asked her how to make challahs, and she gave him the recipe, and he spent an hour and a half making them, and they came out badly. They all flopped. So he tried again, and the entire batch had to go back in the bin. 2 batches, the entire everything. As he finished the second batch, a Sephardi lady knocked on the door, and she said that the very mechaber to the Chachamim. She heard there's a Rav in town, and therefore she came to bring challahs for the Rav. He had homemade challahs for Shabbos. So you see, you put in the effort for covered Shabbos, and Hashem helps you. You see, but a person has to do something Friday morning early for covered Shabbos. It says veichinu prepare. Yes, it's brought out in Mishnah V'or. Yeah, you can do as much as you want Thursday night and Friday afternoon as well. There's an inyan Friday morning to do something. Sometimes I know I prepare the nappies. Do something for Shabbos. Open the bottom. You have to do lechem mishnah. Mishnah. Hashem gave us double bread. We should do double bread. He takes 2 bread. He only cuts into 1. It says gather lechem mishnah. It doesn't say eat lechem mishnah. Gather lechem mishnah. We don't need to eat lechem mishnah. Rabzeh would cut a slice. How big? That it should last him the entire meal. I mentioned when I was newly married, I went to my wife to Talmud Torah to invite it, and beginning of the meal, he cut himself a slice about this thick. I find it hard not to giggle. The fact is that that's how big a slice you should cut yourself. Is that what you do? Why not? That's no good. You have to cut a very big slice for the whole meal. Says the Gemara, it looks like you're fresh,ing. At the end of the day, it looks like you're starving. Since generally one doesn't do that. So it doesn't look like fresh,ing. It doesn't look bad if a person does it if he only does it on Shabbos. Yeah, only the first person. Only for that person. The Indian is to show covered Shabbos that you're so excited to eat the challah of Shabbos that you're making yourself a slice for the whole meal. When they came to what? No. You're supposed to. Yeah, you're supposed to bite and take a beitza. I know. I hear. If they would get bread from the Eruv, they would start the meal with that one. Since one mitzvah happened to another mitzvah. And if a person should look always to use chalav and mitzvah, tafshilin matzah, fish, a person should always be careful if you've got something which has got mitzvah to do another mitzvah with it. How many meals is a person have to eat on Shabbos? Sholish. He has to eat 3 meals of chitka oime arba. I'm going to have a long sugi now trying to establish, to prove one way or another. There's machlekes tanoim if you're supposed to eat 3 meals or 4 meals. First of all, brings the reason of the argument. They both dash for the same pasuk. But the pasuk mentions the word hayoim many times. Each word hayoim is representing another meal. So let's count the pasuk. That's one. Shabbos hayoim la Hashem. Hayoim, that's already 3. 3 times the word hayoim besides for the Friday night meal. That's with the meal, with the Friday night. So either it's 3 meals with the Friday night, or it's 3 meals besides the Friday night. There were Hasidic Shabbos that were makbid to have 4 meals on Shabbos because of the Chidka. But so we don't pass like that. We pass 3 is enough. So now we've learned. Noflo deleke b'leil Shabbos. Top of Kufit Chesed Modalef. Our Mishnah says if a fire breaks out, how much are you allowed to save? Anybody remember how many meals? 3. Says the Matzil Malon Zon Sholish Shulis. Is a raya to have to the Chacham. That's only 3 meals. My love de lo yochab. We're not talking about you haven't eaten Friday night yet, and you're only allowed to save 3. Is a raya that you only have 3 meals. Look, the ocha we're talking about you've already eaten the Friday night. So the Mishnah says that you're allowed to save 3 meals. It's talking about after the Friday night meal, and that's like with Chidka. Yes, right. The Gemara asks, very good. That's the Gemara's right, finally. But the Gemara goes through step by step. Shachris in the morning, Matzil in Mosul and Sholish Day, so this. You can save 2 meals. My lab de lo yochal, you haven't eaten Shabbos morning yet. So you're only eating 2 meals. There's a raya not like of Chidka. Lo, the ocha, we're talking about Shabbos morning after the morning meal. Then Mincha Matzil in Mosul is allowed to save 1 meal. My lab de lo yochal, we're not talking about what you haven't yet eaten. And there's a raya that you're only allowed to save 1 meal for Shalosh Shudas. Lo the ocha that you have eaten. Vedic Mob, Tani safe. Avyei says you always only save 3 meals. He holds 3 in just different times. That means, but Avyei and the Tanakama are only arguing about the time. Now, according to Tanakama, you can save 3 meals at the beginning of Shabbos, but not at the end of Shabbos. So Avyei holds you're always allowed to save 3 meals. They're not arguing about the amount of meals. Is a raya that our Mishnah is not like of Chidka. Since our Mishnah is not like of Chidka, the whole Mishnah would don't pass like him, and therefore a person only has to eat 3 meals. There's a Teus of Kufit Chesed Modalef, the top Teusus, which happens to be not really Sidigat our Sugi, but it's a fascinating Teusus. But Teusus establishes that one should eat Shalosh Shudas in the afternoon by Mincha time, and one should not eat Shalosh Shudas in the morning, right? Why does a person want to eat Shalosh Shudas in the morning? Anybody think of offhand? Winter, okay. When else? El Pesach, which is a Shabbos. People eat Shalosh Shudas in the morning, and Teusus of here discusses what to do on a Pesach, which is a Shabbos, what to do about the Shalosh Shudas. And one of the things it says is, don't do what they see many people doing, which some people do even nowadays, is that they wash bench. Why? Because you don't need to. What you have to do is you have to make a proper break. It is in the morning. I don't know if you did it, but I did it 1 year at least. No, not on the Pesach, which is a Shabbos. Pesach is got to eat challah. You get up early, you wash bench. But the Maisa says over here, the Maisa that you have to do Shalosh Shudas in the afternoon, and he says that is no good. And those people, that thing is right. Okay. Says the Muslim Maisa, from our Mishnah, we have a clear Mishnah that says that what? That how many meals is supposed to eat 3, because they only argue about when you can save 3 meals. But everybody agrees you can only save 3 meals. And therefore, not like of Chidka, who says 4 meals. There's more. That's now. In the olden days, there were 2 kinds of stocker collections. There was tamchui and kupa. Tamchui was food, kupa was man. Tamchui was given on every day. Kupa was given once a week. Tamchui was given to the very, very poor. Kupa were given to those who were not, what's a nice, delicate word? Not schnorrers, I shouldn't say that. No, I'm saying the tamchui was given to the poorest of the poor. Kupa was given to somebody who wasn't so badly off, but was just poor. Again, There are three differences in Tamchi and Kuppah, very briefly. Tamchi was given every day, Kuppah once a week. Tamchi was given to food. They would go around the town, say, anybody got a spare slice of bread, collect all the slices of bread into a big basket, and then every day distribute to everybody, all the poor people, food. Kuppah was a money, which they would only give out once a week. Tamchi, Rashi says, was given to the really poor, to like, let's say, we'll call them the beggars, let's say, and Kuppah were given to the people struggling. It wasn't the low earners. Right. So that's the three differences. Now, the Mishnah establishes the halachas. There's important halachas about these things. The Mishnah says like this, if you've got enough food to last for 2 more meals, you can't take from the tamchi. Tamchi is only if a person is so poor that he doesn't have enough to have 2 meals left. It's literally down to his last slice of bread. So he's allowed to take a tamchi. But if he's got enough, he's not allowed to take from the tamchi. As I said, tamchi is food which is collected from the tamchi. Mozna saying if a person's got enough to be able to buy 14 meals, why? You can work it out. Tamchi was given out every day. So if you've got enough food for 2 meals, those days they only ate 2 meals a day, right? 2 meals a day was enough. So if everybody ate 2 meals a day, so if you've got enough food for 2 meals, why are you taking from the tamchi? Wait to eat the 2 meals that you have, and then tomorrow you'll get from the tamchi. If a person has enough for 1 meal, so then he needs to take from the tamchi because he's going to have breakfast. What will he have for supper? So he's allowed to take from the tamchi. The kuppah was once a week. So if a person's got enough food, enough money to be able to buy 14 meals, why are you taking from the kuppah? Wait till next week and you'll get money then. For the next week, you've got enough for the 14 meals of the week. So how many meals does it come out per day if you've got 14 meals for a week? 2 a day, which is problematic both according to the Chachamim and the Chitka. Because how is somebody supposed to last? If he only has enough food, let's say I'm on a Friday morning and I count out my money and I've got enough to be able to pay for 14 meals, right? Comes along, I go to the kuppah, I say, can I take? They say, no, you've got enough for 14 meals. How's that 14 meals going to last me to next Friday? I'm going to take 2 every day and then 3 or 4 on Shabbos, depending if you're like a Chitka or Chachamim. So I'm going to run out of food long before a meal or 2 before the next distribution of the kuppah. Why? The Mishnah says you have to eat 3 meals a day. Okay, I was about to come to it later. The Gemara says you do have to wash for it. We'll come to it. So the Gemara says like this. All the time you say Shemaz Shtei so the same time because it can wait for the next day. What's that? By says lo yitim na kupa money lo yabon lo b'chitka. Iya abonon chamesu yahaven. There's 15 meals a week. Iya b'chitka shisru yahaven. No abonon. Dominon lei. My the boys to mecha ba puke shabta ochle b'shabta. That means what we do is like this. We say to him, you've got 2 meals for Friday, 2 meals for Shabbos. The 2 meals of Friday, eat 1 in the morning and 1 at night. The 2 meals of Shabbos, eat 1 on Shabbos morning and 1 Shabbos afternoon. So you've got your 3 meals. So that way, he only has to have 2 meals a day and he still manages to get 3 meals into Shabbos. Oh, what about Motzei Shabbos? So this will have a baraka. That is, say, taka is not a chiyuv to wash for. And therefore, that taka he'll have to struggle with. But regarding the meals of Shabbos, that's a chiyuv. It says, well, the Maisa, at the end of the day, but at least if Chitka doesn't work with it, why does Chitka not work with it? Because he says you have to have 4 meals on Shabbos, and he's only got 2 per day. So the Chachamim, we said, he'll have 2 Friday morning, Friday night, eat Friday night after Shabbos, and Shabbos eat 2. He's got 3, but Chitka doesn't work. I think we take about Chitka. That means Friday, don't eat at all. So then if you don't eat at all on Friday, so then you have 2 meals of Friday, 2 meals on Shabbos. So the Friday night, eat 1 of the meals of Friday, then you've got 1 left over for Shabbos, and then 3 you've got for Shabbos. So therefore, according to Chitka, can also work. Again, we said there's 14. Chitka says you have to have 4 meals on Shabbos. Furthermore, you've only giving him 14 meals worth. It's not going to last him the whole Shabbos. Answers the Gemara, yes, it does. Friday doesn't eat. Then he's got the Friday morning meal, he eats Friday night when it's Shabbos. The Friday night meal is saved for the next day, and then he can have 3 meals of Shabbos. Is this going to be the entire day? It's going to be a fast day? It doesn't seem very fair. That means when a person can survive without stocker, it is better for a person to treat Shabbos as a weekday and not to have the 4 meals rather than go collecting. The Bialochen is Reishman base, I think it's Reishman base. He says like this, that it's very interesting. If a person can manage without collecting at all, it's better. And then if that's the case, it's better for him not to make Shabbos posh at all. That means to have just 2 meals like a normal weekday. But once he collects, that means if he can't survive, he doesn't even have enough for 2 meals, so how much should he collect from people? What would you say? Which is a very interesting thing. Then you're allowed to collect for 4 meals because now you're already collecting, so you're allowed to collect enough to make a Shabbos special, even enough that the Mishmur says to buy yourself some fish. No, that's a different. Mishmur talks about that, but he will not talk about somebody who's spending his own money, he's collecting. Mishmur says there's 3 levels. Actually, it's more than 3. Because if a person can manage on his own, so that he should have a weekday Shabbos. I say Shabbat Chochoir, treat Shabbos like a weekday Vatistach Rebios, as long as you don't need to come on to other people. Once you need other people, then you're allowed to ask them even for a piece of fish, a small piece of fish, and for 3 meals. A person on his own, that means a person who's already got enough money to survive, especially that's what you were talking about, Chaim, then a person has to spend as much as he can according to his financial capabilities. If a person is a multimillionaire, then he has to spend according to his financial capabilities for Shabbos. And if he only buys himself meat, we once discussed this, and he could buy himself tongue, then he's not doing it right. He has to treat Shabbos according to the highest level that is possible for him. He has to get the best piece of meat that there is in the butcher's shop. Says the Gemara weiter. This is a bit of a chesh, but I'm going to go into taste, not going to Rashi over here. It's like this. Ein person ani, or even mokim the mokim. Here we talk about an ani who's traveling from place to place. So we need to give him food from place to place. So we give him mikika bepunjon abasoin besela. We give him a loaf of bread which costs a punjon when 4 sa'ah costs a selah. You need a tiny bit of mathematical cheshbon. In a selah, there are 48 punjon. Right? You have to trust me for that. I can worry about that. A selah has 4 dinner. A dinner has 6 more. And a more has 2 punjon. But like, I don't know which kind of equations you work. But if you work it all out, if a selah has 4 dinner, a dinner has 6 more, and a more has 4 punjon, or 48 punjon to a selah. A sa'ah has 6 kav. A kav has 4 lug. A lug has 6 eggs. Meaning that 1 sa'ah has 144 eggs. Times that by 4, I don't know top by heart, but basically, if you work it out, 144 times 4, you can work it out in 566. Right. 566 divided by 48 comes to 8, I think it is. Anyway, the cheshbon is like this, that a person needs to eat 3 eggs per meal, which is 6 eggs for an entire day. The bakers in the olden days would charge double their costs. That means if a kilo of grain would cost 1 punjon, they would sell it after baking and everything else. 48 times 12 comes to 566. That's the answer. 48 times 12 comes to 566. And that's how it works it out. You're right. Anyway, the Maisa, what happens is like this. A loaf of bread, which was enough for 6 eggs, that's the size of bread you would give for a poor man who's traveling from place to place. That's how much you have to give. That means if somebody's going from Manchester to Gateshead, and you know he's going to go collecting in Gateshead, how much do you have to give him to see him off on the way? A loaf of bread that has 6 eggs, which Chazal tell us is enough to last for 2 meals. Teresa explains that the Gemara and the Havman already understood that nobody travels without food. Meaning that before he came to us asking for food to go to Gateshead, he already had with him enough food for 1 meal. So you have to essentially send him off with how many meals? Can anybody work it out? Another 2, which means how many meals will be going off with 3? Because everybody travels with 1 meal with them, and you give him an extra 2. If he goes to sleep in town, you also have to help him for the night. If he's going to stay for Shabbos as well, so if somebody comes to Manchester and tells us, after Shabbos I'm going to go to Gateshead, but I'm here for 5 days Shabbos, so he's got 1 meal with him, plus 2 we have to give him for Friday, plus 3 for Shabbos. So he's going to have 6 meals in his pocket. So let's say it's Chachamim not of Chitka. Why? Because we don't want him to go off without a single meal. So he'll eat 2 on Friday. He's going to have 2 for Friday, 3 for Shabbos. He's going to go off with 1. So that's very good. According to the Chachamim. According to Chidka, that we're going to give him 2 plus 3, 2 for Friday, 3 for Shabbos, and then he's going to go out of town. On Shabbos, he's going to eat 4. It means that by the time Shabbos comes out, he's not going to have a single meal left, and you can't send somebody without any food. So here Tesa says the Gemara never understood the original Havim, and the Gemara says now the Gemara adds that he has a meal with him. We tell him on Shabbos eat the food which you brought with from out of town. Says, are we going to send a person empty-handed? That doesn't make sense either. We give him an extra meal. And what happens is, even according to Chidka, we give him 2 for Friday, 3 for Shabbos, and an extra 1 for the journey. That means we always have to make sure that a person leaves town, he has to have at least 3 meals with him. So he gets 2 per day, but only if he's already got 1 with him. If he has got 1 with him, then we have to give him 3 meals. Because a person always has to have 2 meals for a day, plus 1, in case when he travels, he doesn't get straight away to his destination, he should have at least another meal. What do we have to give a poor man if he stays overnight? A bed, and a pillow. It's an amazing thing if you read about the Yiddish history. That however poor they always were, every poor man that came to town had somewhere to turn. There'd always be some food, some soup kitchen. Soup kitchen's a very, very Jewish thing, right, at the end of the day. And you see from Gemara over here that they had halachas that they had to keep. The Rambam says that every town, Yiddish town, had to the first thing establish a committee to make sure that if a poor man would come to town, he would get those 2 meals. Says the Gemara, always bowl shocha b'navis, which you ate in the Friday night meal, madichon lecha ben shachus, you convince them to eat them in the morning. Shachus, you convince them, madichon lecha ben b'tzoraim. B'tzoraim, madichon lecha ben mincha, they can eat in the mincha time. But once it's mincha, you're not allowed to rinse the bowls, because you're not going to eat anymore. Avol, krisis, cups, for kitinis, like kind of ladle with sluchias and the jugs, or the pitchers. There's no fixed time for drinking. A person's always drinking. So you can always rinse the cups. And it's fascinating. The bottom Tesis tells us something which is very negea. It's only a small connection to our Gemara. There's a very important halacha. That's Erev Tisha B'Av, when you bench. What do you have to have kavanah? Don't you remember? That I still want to eat after every Yom Kippur, Suddam Hafsekes. When you bench, you should have kavanah. Even though I'm benching, I still want to eat. Or when you go to bed, the night of Shabbos with Tammuz, you have kavanah. That I might still wake up early and eat in the morning. Some people do. What happens if you don't have kavanah? So some Rishonim hold that then you can't eat anymore. If you bench before Tisha B'Av, Yom Kippur, so you went to bed before Shabbos with Tammuz, and you had no kavanah to eat afterwards, so it's finished. You can't eat anymore because you've completed your meal, and now it's the fast. Says Teisvus, but you're still allowed to drink. Why allowed to drink? Because at the end of the day, because here look at Teisvus Kavishtir. We can't get shnimu b'laylik shutz l'sayis mochel achar achilafis nyochel lechem no yehisno lefish mistomach shebirich silik datim elechot melishto isvada lesilik datim kedem nochaten kemal shtir. So if a person is allowed to carry on drinking, even if you finish the meal of the Sunnah of seconds of Erev Tisha B'Av, it's interesting because Tesis learns it from our Gemara. Just like we said on Shabbos, you're always allowed to wash out your cup, even after you finish Shalosh Shudas, because you can always say to yourself, I want another drink. So too, when you bench before a fast day, I always want another drink. Oh, Tesis discussed about wine. Is it just water? Pashtus is allowed other drinks as well. It's an interesting halach which comes out from this. It's how Tesis extrapolates one halach from another. Rinsing the cups on Shabbos allows you to have a drink after you bench before a tanis. Anybody who has 3 meals, the Shabbos nitzah misholish peronis. He's saved from 3 different punishments. The chevlish of Mashiach, from the birth pangs of Mashiach, Medina shel Gehenna, from Gehenna, Mecheves Gemogri. The chevlish of Mashiach. The reason is because all these 3 things, it says the word hayoim, and we learned the halachas of the meals from the word hayoim. So therefore we learn hayoim. Hayoim teaches us these things. If they boyim Hashem, the goyim. Dish can ksivacha yom ksivas yom ever yomahu. Chemes gemogim ksivacha yom ksivas yom boygoy. There's a mitzvah to eat 3 meals on Shabbos. I can't tell you how many times I've seen people in the winter and they say I can't be bothered and they don't eat Shalosh Shudas. And it's a terrible, terrible loss. If you see the Mishnah Berurah, how much he writes that there's an absolute chiv. I remember there was somebody I know quite well. Tells me he doesn't eat Shalosh Shudas. He sits and learns instead because God, it feels. I say very, very nice, but it's like somebody saying on Shavuos of Tammuz, I don't fancy fasting because it doesn't make sense to fast. Because at the end of the day, I can't learn so well. I always find Shabbos time was very hard to learn. Shabbos I always make myself think that Talmud is such a special mitzvah. The fact is, Chazal knew better, and they tell us, no, now we want you to eat. Now we want you to fast. There's a mitzvah to eat Shabbos. You have to eat a smaller Shabbos morning meal and have a short afternoon rest in the winter. And Ma'aseh Chazal said there's a chiyuv to have. So, and not only that, you save from such tremendous sorrows. I don't understand how people can give up on a haftocha from Chazal just for. So what do you say? Nice Mishmor says a person should wash. As a seudah is usually a washing. Person should. This is what Chazal say here. Shabbos, person who treats Shabbos with pleasure and gives it a choshev. I just tell you that I was once by a Talmud Chacham's house, and he told his daughter, she was about, I think, 13, 14, to wash, and she doesn't want to wash. And he explained this Gemara as Tisanig as a hemshach of the previous one. So he asked her, what's the most favorite thing that she would ever dream of? You know what she said? Private swimming pool. I have to be standing there as husband asked Shaila. So he said to the Chazal say that if you keep Shabbos becovered, then you'll get nachla bli mitzom. That means an endless, unlimited success. But for you, unlimited success will be a private swimming pool. You know, this person lived in a tiny dira in Sefer. Can you imagine? I don't know. That was Asogas. Private swimming pool. It's not a bad thing to have. The Ma'aseh said to you, wash shalosh shudas, Akshboch will promise you a private swimming pool. No, I don't think so. The mom still lives there. What? So you have to think this up before you wash shalosh shudas time. What's for you an unlimited inheritance? And where do we see that? Now go back to Posh and Gemara. Why does the Pasuk say, I'll give you the inheritance of Yaakov? Why the inheritance of Yaakov? Why not the inheritance of Avram and the inheritance of Yitzchak? And the word explains, no, you can't Avram. The Avram and Yitzchak, Hashem promised them that He limited it a little bit. Why? Hashem said, I'll give you this land, the land of Eretz Yisrael. So it's limited, only Eretz Yisrael. He promised him more than Avram, all the lands. But all the lands is limited. All the lands around Eretz Yisrael, but not more. You should become strong and powerful in all directions, without limit. So therefore, is because you get the inheritance of Yaakov. Because that's the inheritance of Yaakov, because you get, what's the word for it? Yeah, if you say that it's beautiful how in Maya Didus he says it very, very nicely. Nachlas Yaakov Yirosh, Beli Mitzorim Nachalo, V'yichabdu Oshev V'rosh. If a person is Mechabed Shabbos, he'll be Zecher to get Nachalo Mitzorim, like Yaakov Avinu. Nachlas Yaakov Yirosh, Beli Mitzorim Nachalo, V'yichabdu Oshev V'rosh. So you see, you get the Nachalo of Yaakov Avinu. Well, guys, I'm Nachalo Yitzchak Manitzim B'Shibud Malchis. Get saved from being subservient to the kings. You'll go and ride on their heights. You get whatever you ask for. So you see that if a person is ma'anig Shabbos, he gets mishalus libcha, he gets whatever he asks for. How should you make Shabbos special? Cooked beets, big fish, and garlic cloves. If you did it for Shabbos, also has what's a small thing? A fish which they used to fry with flour. That's something which is choshev for Shabbos. Shabbos to keep Shabbos correctly. Even if it says avodah zarah like enosh, moichlim lo, you forgive him. Shenema ashe enosh yasazois v'greim mechaleloi atiki mechaleloi ela mocholoi. If a person keeps Shabbos, even if it says avodah zarah like enosh, Hashem will forgive him. That is why Friday night many people would always be makbid to do hiru tshuva before he did kiddush Friday night, because since kiddush is the beginning of serving Shabbos, therefore Hashem forgives you for all averos. The Taz asks a very, very big question. What's going on over here? A person is doing all the averos of the world. The Taz asks this kasha. and he keeps Shabbos to forgive him for everything, there are two basic answers. One answer is like this, that we're talking about somebody who's done tshuva. The Shai Tshuva writes that even after a person's done tshuva, he sometimes needs Yisurin or Misa to mechaper, like Chilul Hashem, you need Misa. If it's Koris, you need Yisurim. You need certain purification promises. If a person makes an effort for Shabbos, the exertion for Shabbos is mechaper him, that all the suffering and all the other things they needed to do to become purified, Shabbos does the entire purification process. That's one explanation. Another explanation is the Taz is like this, that a person who does an Avera is a raya that is not respecting Hashem. Keeping Shabbos shows that person believes in Hashem, which means that all the Averas he did, why is he doing Averas? That says it's by mistake, the Yitzhak got a hold of him. And HaKadosh Baruch Hu forgives for Shogeg. HaKadosh Baruch Hu doesn't forgive for Meza, for Shogeg is Mechah. So for a person who keeps Shabbos, he demonstrates that he really believes in Hashem, he wants to serve Hashem. Only he became overcome by his Averas. So therefore, all his Averas are considered Shogeg because Hashem forgives them. So Shabbos works in one of two ways. Either it purifies, gets rid of a person's all of his Averas, because all the Yisurim, all the suffering that he's supposed to have, gets rid of it because the exertion for Shabbos, or by keeping Shabbos, he shows belief in Hashem, it makes all the Averas Shogeg, and Hashem forgives for Shogeg. And as I said, the person should do Hilul Tshuva before Kiddush. There's another reason to do Hilul Tshuva before Kiddush is because Allah is that Rosha is Posel Eidus. And find out when you say Kiddush, you're giving Eidus that Shmuel created the world. You don't want to be a Rosha who's Posel Eidus to give such an important Eidus. Okay. As I said on Tuesday, I'm going to try and change it, but the Vaila, I will stop over here. We did a daf at least, Baruch Hashem, a bit more. Right, so we'll carry on the Mitzvah Hashem from here. The next daf is all Agadata. The next couple of daf is all Agadata. Then we'll come back to it. Very good, Hatzlacha with everything. Shkoyach Hatzlacha with everything.